everybody. Welcome back to Ordinary People. And if you're new here, welcome to Ordinary People. My name is Brenda, and I'm Methodist laity, um, meaning that's kind of defines who I am. Methodism being defined by its emphasis on social justice issues. I find that influences a lot of what I feel and respond to. But what I want to share with you is all these ordinary people in the Bible. I'm used to trying to think of them as, great examples of one or the other. But they're also very, very ordinary. I'm using the NIV, New International Version. And so when I'm reading out of this, if you're reading out of yours and it's a different version, the words may vary slightly, but just so you're aware. And this week we're looking at Abram, Father Abram, or Abraham. And our first reading is Genesis 12, 1 to 5, and then verses 10 to 16. The Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Now, there was a famine in that land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because of the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but will let you live. So say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." And Abram came to Egypt. The Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken to his palace. He treated Abram well for her sake, and Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. And then we're going to jump all the way over to Genesis 20, and this is verses 1 to 3. And it's just, we need to look at what Abram's doing here. And he's now Abraham. Now, Abraham moved on from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Gerar, and there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Abraham. Fascinating, right? We all have been taught how obedient he was to God and how he's the father really of three different major religions. We've got Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. He's an important figure. He's also a coward. And I find this fascinating because you don't think of someone who uproots his wife, his servants, his nephew, and travels to a land that he has no idea where he's going as being cowardly. He follows God's directions great, and it's a bold move, it's a risky move, but when it comes to like his very own life here with Sarah and entering other countries that he knows he's just going to live in part time, he becomes a coward. And I like this definition that I found. It says, a trait wherein fear and excessive self-concern override doing or saying what is right, good, and of help to others or self. So, excessive self-concern. Why does he lie? Because he thinks he'll be killed and then his wife taken. And it may be a legitimate concern, but he puts his wife in danger by saying she's my sister. Both times, the rulers of the area are like, she is hot. Bring her to me. And they both suffer consequences. And it's because Abraham just doesn't have the bravery to stand up and say, this is my wife. How amazing that this man who is so brave, following God's laws, following God's commands, that when it comes to something simple like this, he doesn't trust him and he's afraid for himself. And whatever happens to his wife is what happens to her. I don't understand that very well. But it may be that in the same situation, I might have done the same thing. The hardest part of cowardice, I would think, would be knowing that others are going to suffer because of it. You have to be willing to let someone else suffer. You cannot hold on to the idea of others, of loving others, if you're going to show that kind of cowardice. And what I find amazing is that he did this not only once, but twice. 2 different times. And in between those times, he has seen great miracles of God. He's a human being. Oh no, he's just an ordinary person like us. That's crazy, right? Abraham's not like us. He is the father of 3 major faiths. He's the father of Israel and all of its people. And he's afraid for his own life. I would hope that when we look at this, we can look at ourselves. And this can be in smaller things. I mean, this doesn't have to involve the life of your spouse. Where are we cowardly in our everyday life? Where do we choose to spend our extra money or extra time? Do we choose to support a high government official that we think is, going to get us some recognition? Do we give money someplace hoping that we'll be recognized? If we put a big enough amount on there, we'll get our name up there too. Or are we taking that money and giving it to some place that feeds people? Are we providing food, clothing, health care? Are we providing what is needed by a group of people? That's Christ again. I mean, are we following? Are we trying to become more Christ-like? Or are we letting our everyday cowardice overcome our willingness to put our life on the line? And in this case, it doesn't have to be your life. It can be your money. It's your time. It's your attitude and what you say. Do you listen to people run down someone because of homelessness or addiction or mental illness, or physical unhealth, and not stand up to say, you don't know what's going on, or that's not right? If they say something that is not right, do we have the courage to stand up and say, you're wrong? That's not the way it is. That's not the truth. Today, I think even more, we find that harder and harder to do. We don't want to come off as being one of those people who, are crowing. But when we choose silence, unfortunately, silence never helps the oppressed. Whether they're oppressed by their homelessness or their lack of food or they're imprisoned. That's their oppression. And when you stay silent in the face of detriment to the others, to the least of these, then we're actually putting our foot soundly on the side of the oppressor. To not make a decision is actually making a decision. I've heard people say to me, well, I'm not going to rock the boat on that one. It is what it is. One of my least favorite sayings in a lot of ways is, it is what it is. Well, yes, it is what it is because we're letting it be that way. We're letting that happen without doing anything about it. And as long as we choose to not rock the boat, to not make a stand, as long as we choose not to make a stand, we've made our choice, and it's that of the oppressor. That's something that I think we have to really work on as a society. Too many people, too many of us choose to not rock the boat and to make sure, if I say something, they're going to tax me and then I'm going to lose money. So, I'm not going to do that because, I don't want to pay more taxes because then I won't be able to buy this or buy that, even though I might have plenty. If I'm fed, and some of us are obviously well fed, if I'm fed, if I'm clothed, if I'm housed, and I'm healthy, do I not, as a Christian, need to address that in those that aren't, especially if I have the means? Now, you may not have a lot of means, but I was doing a children's story one time, and I had bought in like a couple boxes of mac and cheese, and I told them that they were two for $1. And then I gave them each a quarter. And I said, now, can you each, can you guys buy that? Well, no, individually they couldn't. But when they put their money together, little as it was, then they could buy it. That's what we need to understand, that, you don't need to drain yourself to the point of not being able to care for yourself, because that's not what God wants. But if you have $1, okay, and your neighbor has $1 and the other neighbor has $4, well, by then, now we've already got up at $6. And we need to get over the cowardice of the fear of losing out of our own. Because that's exactly what it is. It's cowardice. We're afraid for ourselves that if we do something or if we say something, then we're going to lose out. And that's utter nonsense. Because this is all from what? It's all from God's love. It is through God's love that we have these blessings. It is through God's love we should be giving these blessings. And love ain't pie. We can't divide it up to be not enough to go around. It's one of the few things that we know doesn't get smaller as it's shared, but actually grows. So we need to take time this next week, I think, look at Abram, look at his cowardice. How am I being cowardly in my life? Am I a coward? Abraham's a coward. Abraham goes on to do great things. Am I going to go on and do great things, or am I going to cling to that cowardice? The most wonderful thing, of course, is that he's a person just like us. He's an ordinary person. And ordinary people are what God has made us all to be. No matter if you are president of the U.S., if you're an Olympic swimmer, if you are a 3-year-old at daycare. We're all ordinary people. Abraham is ordinary. And he's there to show us about cowardice and how to reach out to the least of these. I hope you have a great week. And I look forward to talking with you next week. Bye.